Stop asking if he's the one and start asking if you're actually free to love him. The sacred anxiety of the single soul. For the modern single Catholic, the word discernment has become synonymous with a unique kind of spiritual paralysis. We treat God's will like a high-stakes scavenger hunt, where one wrong turn, one coffee date with the wrong person, might derail our entire vocation. We watch videos, read theology, and pray novenas, all while asking the same haunting question: is he God's will or just a distraction? This anxiety isn't just about dating, it's about a misunderstanding of how God speaks to his children. We often view God as a cosmic micromanager rather than a loving father. But as the Catechism of the Catholic Church reminds us, God creates with wisdom and love. CCC 295. His will is not a trap, it is a path to our flourishing. The theology of the distraction. In the spiritual life, a distraction is anything that pulls our gaze away from the face of Christ. In the context of dating, a distraction is often a good that is not the intended good. Saint Ignatius of Loyola, the master of discernment, notes that the enemy often comes in the guise of an angel of light. A relationship might look holy on the surface. He goes to Mass, he likes Chesterton, but if it produces agitation of spirit or leads you away from your duties of state, it requires scrutiny. As Jesus says in Matthew 6:33, "But seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added to you." If a man causes you to seek him as the ultimate source of your peace, he has moved from a companion to a distraction. The peace test. Objective versus subjective reality. One of the greatest myths in Catholic dating is that God's will always feels like a lightning bolt. In reality, God's will is often found in the still, small voice. 1 Kings 19:12. The subjective. Do I feel butterflies? Am I attracted to him? These are good, but fickle. The objective. Does he lead a life of virtue? Does he respect the church's teachings? Does he respect me? If a man is a distraction, he usually fragments your peace. You find yourself obsessing, overanalyzing every text, and losing your prayer life in the process. St. Francis de Sales famously said, "Never be in a hurry. Do everything quietly and in a calm spirit." If the relationship creates a spiritual noise that drowns out your ability to hear God, it is likely a distraction. The fruit of the relationship. The Church teaches that the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. Galatians 5:22-23. Apply this to your dating life. Is this man helping you grow in self-control, or is the relationship a constant battleground for purity? Is he a source of peace or a source of constant anxiety? A man who is God's will for you will be a gardener of your virtue, not a thief of your grace. The error of waiting for a sign. Many single Catholics are stuck in vocation limbo because they are waiting for a burning bush. They refuse to commit to a relationship because they aren't 100% sure. However, the Catholic doctrine of human freedom, CCC 1731, suggests that God invites us to use our reason. Grace builds upon nature. If you meet a virtuous man and there is mutual attraction and shared values, you don't need a private revelation to go on a second date. You use the prudence mentioned in Proverbs 8:12. I, wisdom, dwell with prudence, and I find knowledge and discretion. God's will is rarely a roadmap. It is more like a lamp for your feet. Psalm 119:105. It only lights the next step. If you are walking toward holiness, even a distraction can be a lesson in what you don't need, provided you stay tethered to the sacraments. Red flags as divine stop signs. We often pray for God to close doors that aren't meant for us, and then we try to pick the lock when he actually closes them. If a man is inconsistent, avoids spiritual growth, or pushes your boundaries, that is not a cross to carry. It is a divine no. 2 Corinthians 6:14 warns us, "Do not be unequally yoked with unbelievers." This doesn't just mean non-Catholics, it means those whose lives are not yoked to the gospel. If he is a distraction, he will require you to shrink your soul to fit into his world. If he is God's will, he will expand your heart to love God more. The role of Mary in discernment. When in doubt, we look to the Virgin Mary. At the Annunciation, she didn't have the whole story. She had one question, "How can this be?" and one answer, "Fiat." Her fiat was an act of trust, not a result of a 10-step plan. If you are struggling to know if he is the one, consecrate your dating life to Mary. Ask her to untie the knots of your confusion. Summary: from anxiety to trust. Discerning God's will isn't about guessing a secret code, it's about living in a state of grace so that your desires eventually align with his. If he is a distraction, you will feel a sense of tightness, a need to perform, and a decline in your spiritual fervor. If he is God's will, you will feel a sense of homecoming, a growth in virtue, and a clarity that survives even the difficult days. Remember, your primary vocation is not marriage. Your primary vocation is holiness. If a man helps you get to heaven, he is a gift. If he becomes your God, he is a distraction. Trust the process. God is more interested in your heart than your relationship status. As Saint Therese of Lisieux said, "The Lord is so good to me that I cannot fear him." Rest in that goodness. Did this help clear the discernment fog? If you want more grounded Catholic insights on navigating modern life with ancient wisdom, hit the subscribe button and join our community of faith.